Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with the Wood Elves, going to be taking on the Vampire Counts. I say Wood Elves, actually got a tree-focused build here. Ancient Tree Man leading the way, we've got some Firebark Elders here, Wardens of Kithral, Eternal Guard up front, with the Winterheart Guard, in the back, and the Wardens of Kithral, the two Regiment of Renown, Eternal Guards, and Wildwood Rangers, respectively. We've also got the Loix Tricksters here, Regiment of Renown War Dancers with Azrite Spears, and of course the Ancient Tree Men with healing and all that jazz. We've also got some Sisters of Thorn currently skirmishing out some Blood Knights here. We've got some Felbats, Von Karstein Lord on a horse. We've got more Blood Knights. Let's see, two Necromancers supporting just a small front line of Graveguard. Also got some Crypt Ghouls there as well. So yeah, you can see right off the bat I'm going to try and do some skirmishing here. Try and get these Blood Knights a little bit out of position. I'm a little bit over-aggressive here with the Sisters of Thorn. Going to be taking some damage, but with these layering of speed debuffs, we've got Curse of Onra here, the Poison. I don't think that Awakening of the Wood actually was effective, unfortunately. Otherwise, we could have probably immobilized them completely and potentially caught them, but I was just trying to catch these Blood Knights out isolated and see if I couldn't take them down. Zombie summon here on these Eternal Guard, also just to kind of bog them up at the moment. My opponent not really wanting to advance, not really 100% sure why, but we are going to see if we can't bait these Blood Knights into the Eternal Guards, or at the very least, if they're going to try and pull away, then we follow up with the Sisters of Thorn, start to bog up unit models, and let them get dragged down by these other units, but I also don't want to get too far out of position. The Von Karstein Lord decides to come in here himself, and this is potentially a huge mistake. We're going to go ahead and try and get a full surround on him. You can see the Tree Man coming in and trying to get a slapping. Good hit there. And he does summon up a Vargulf in the back to try and spring himself loose. Also going to summon some zombies as well, but he's going to have a hard time getting out of here. You can see that Tree Man's just putting an absolute beating on him. So I'm going to fold up this other side just to form a defensive position while we try and beat down this Vampire Lord here. Does pop that Charm Shield to try and keep himself alive. Sisters of Thorn and the Eternal Guards just fending off these summoned zombies in the back line, but I'm going to try and move some units up to screen. You can see the Wardens of Kithral kind of, these Eternal Guards kind of screening out those Blood Knights there. A little bit of a missed Awakening of the Wood once again, but those Eternal Guards are somewhat able to stem the charge there, although they are still going to take quite a bit of damage. Respond with a quick Earthblood and a Invocation to Heck from my opponent there. Yeah, you can see the rear charges from the Blood Knights are going to do a ton of damage to the Wood Elf Infantry here. But the Treekin should be able to hold out relatively well. You can see the Graveguard just wet noodling up against the Firebark Elders and the Ancient Tree Men here. Just trying to whittle them down over time. Definitely going to be a pretty grindy battle this time around with two sort of blobby armies. But yeah, the Blood Knights just trying to cycle charge as much as possible, which is obviously what you want to do with them. Felbat's also coming in here. The Summoned Vargulf, pretty strong, honestly, because it has regeneration to counter its innate degeneration. It's going to be tough to take down. Only 40 armor, though, which does mean these Treekin can actually do a decent amount of damage to him. Nice roll attack there. And, yeah, more zombie summons and just absolute numbers. Of course, the Von Karstein Lord able to get free and heal himself back up. Did take quite a bit of damage off of his healing cap, though. Potentially could be important into the late game, but looks about 1,600 damage off the healing cap there, so pretty good stuff. Ancient Tree Man using that Power Stone. Unfortunately, we did not take this engagement in the forest, where I would have been getting the benefit of the Blessing of the Ancients, but, you know, we still have it on station, so if I need to, I can try and pull back to the woods and try and get advantage of that. Sisters of Thorn being used to bog down these Blood Knights. We caught some with the Loix Tricksters here. You know, kind of layering the speed debuffs and buffs here. So with the Loix Shroud, they get faster. We were able to get the Sisters of Thorn's poison missile attacks, as well as a nice Awakening of the Wood to catch this unit of Blood Knights and do a ton of damage to them. You can see they've only got 14 kills and have taken quite a bit of damage from those War Dancers. Of course, very well played with the Invocation of Nehek there on a high-value target, keeping it nice and healthy, but it's still going to be a tough situation, absolutely. But, yeah, you can see the Tree Men holding out quite well. The Wood Elf Infantry, again, suffering pretty badly for the repeated rear charges by those Blood Knights, but the tree units do have charge defense against large, and very heavy mass, of course, so like these Firebark Elders going to try and bog up these Blood Knights here. They do manage to just barely squeak away, but, yeah, this unit of Blood Knights, having gone all the way up and around and just about been completely dragged down, is going to lead these War Dancers kind of into this center engagement here. War Dancers will definitely be able to do well against the Blood Knights, but another hammering rear charge here. should do some excellent damage. And you can see even these Treekin taking a little bit of damage from that charge. They do have, 80 armor, physical resistance, just an incredibly tanky unit, very high melee defense as well. They will take a little bit of damage there, and certainly from repeated charges over a long period of time, they can get worn down. We're going to go ahead and dump another Earthblood in there, make sure that Treemen and these Treekin all stay nice and healthy. Stearnsmen getting dragged down. Firebark Elders, actually, although they don't have the best AP, they do have flaming attacks, and since the Stearnsmen do have that natural weakness to fire from their regeneration trait, it's actually a pretty good engagement for me. Meanwhile, over here, the last of the Sisters of Thorn still engaged here. We've used up all of their buffs for the most part. And yeah, these War Dancers now also following up as well. So we'll see. These War Dancers do have extremely good combat stats. 49 attack and 64 defense. Granted, only 15 armor does mean that if they get rear charged, for example, by a heavy shock unit like these Blood Knights, they will take a lot of damage. So I'm going to have to be careful. But they should be able to get some good work done potentially. Certainly the Treeman and the two Treeman, Firebark Elders now coming in from behind, so we should be able to pin in these Blood Knights relatively effectively. They are taking quite a bit of damage here. Wardens of Kithral are also sundering their armor so that the non-AP, Treekin units will do a bit more damage as well. Yep, it looks like the Sisters of Thorn also coming in here to try and make sure these Blood Knights can't escape. Obviously, the Blood Knights are the biggest threat here, and 3 units of Blood Knights is a lot to deal with. That is an incredibly powerful heavy cavalry force, so it's definitely going to be tough. So far, Balance is still dead even after 6 minutes of grinding, so yeah, definitely going to be a pretty grindy fight, but Blood Knights are able to kind of disengage from this side a little bit since there wasn't really anything to block them there. This unit of Treekin has taken a lot of damage at this point, probably not too long for this world, but Wardens of Kithral are still hanging around. We've also got some of the War Dancers still hanging around, but again, these Stearnsmen still alive. A lot of the Graveguard going to trade very effectively here, so we'll see. Kind of get in close for some more cinematic action as the trees just administer an unholy beatdown on these Blood Knights, or at least attempt to. Certainly the armor-piercing damage from the Treemen does help them in this kind of a situation. The Treekin aren't necessarily going to do as good here, but the Firebark Elders do have the benefit of having 70 melee defense, which is one of the highest of any units in the game. And they're also immune to psychology, and just generally an incredibly tanky unit. They have the physical resistance of the tree units as well, so going to be very, very tough to take down, certainly for the Vampire Counts. They don't have a lot of units that can do it very effectively, but Valence power is slowly creeping in the Vampire Counts' favor as the Wood Elf Infantry starts to get worn away here. This other unit of Treekin also just about giving up the fight. There's, what, 3 Winterheart Guards barely left still, so yeah, it's going to be tough. It's definitely going to be tough. The War Dancer's still hanging around, but they've taken a lot of damage from the Crypt Ghouls, which has not been the most cost-effective. These Graveguard will also trade well, so we'll see. It's going to be really tight in the late game here, but it's just a matter of if these Blood Knights can take down the Treeman and the Treekin, who currently are at 49 and 86 skills, 2 XP chevrons, almost up to a third for that Treeman there. So very effective. Looks like more zombie summons just going to keep pouring on the numbers here. Potentially. Maybe not. Looks like the Karstein Lord decided against it. He is actually up to his healing cap now, having taken a ton more damage in this blob fight here. So yeah, it's going to be tough, but I'm pretty confident. The Graveguard I'm not really too scared of in terms of doing damage, but just having that full surround all the time is not great for leadership, but I'm pretty confident that these Treemen can still hold out relatively well. I also am going to need to start working on these Necromancers also. They both have Forbidden Rods regenerating extra magic, so yeah, it's going to be tight though. Balance power creeping ever so slightly back towards the middle as we start to crumble away some of these units here. Graveguard still holding on to their leadership surprisingly, but yeah, you can see this Blood Knight gets a little bit close here, and we are able to actually interrupt its movement order, catch some of these unit models, and do a bit of damage to them. Ooh, man, wreck those zombies too. But yeah, they're going to go after this isolated unit of Treekin that I was trying to bring back to the battle. That just recovered its leadership, but unfortunately they do get isolated there and charged, which is not great. But there is just the 1 unit of Blood Knights left. Granted, they're relatively healthy, but they are at their healing cap. A lot of these Vampire Counts units getting pretty close to their healing cap, whereas the Treemen and the Treekin both still have quite a bit left to go. So if we have a look here, the Ancient Treeman still has, yeah, more than 4,000 HP left on his healing cap. So yeah, it's gonna be tough for the vampires to try and work through that much HP. And of course, because I have higher mass, I can kind of just say, okay, let's go fight over here, and kind of, you know, kite my opponent back a little bit. But Karstein's going to get caught by some of the Regiments of Renown here. The Blood Knights will come support, but because these Regiments of Renown have such high melee defense, they actually might survive this charge, depending on how the dice rolls go. Looks like they do actually survive and are able to do a few swings there against these Blood Knights before they go down, potentially. But both the Loix Tricksters and the Wardens of Kithrel holding out here. The Blood Knights are going to go rear charge the main line, but we'll see. They do get a really good charge on those Firebark Elders there in the rear and actually get some really nice damage in. But will it be enough? The Stearnsman still online but crumbling. Same thing with these Graveguard. Karstein took a few hits from those Regiments of Renown there, now down below 1,000 HP, so going to be tough, but those Firebark Elders did rout, so we'll go ahead and fast forward a little bit through this late game, as this video is already probably going to be about 10 minutes plus, so yeah. You can see the Blood Knights just kind of maneuvering around. More zombie summons as the tree men just continue to fight. I was seeing if I couldn't rally these Firebark Elders, but eventually I'm going to decide to actually go back to this forest and see if I can't take advantage of that Blessing of the Ancients to get a few more Earthbloods. I was running a little bit low on Winds of Magic, and I really felt like I needed to get some more healing, so we're just going to go ahead and disengage here, and then try and bring these Firebark Elders back. Obviously this pulls my opponent away from them, so then they rally, and I can start to bring them back in. Tree Man comes into the forest here and is going to start regenerating his Winds of Magic. And they do take out the last of those Firebark Elders, actually wiping them down to a tree. But at this point, my opponent, I believe I had messaged him and told him, like, hey, I'm just right here in the forest trying to regenerate some Winds of Magic. But he just decided at that point he probably wasn't going to be able to take down those two tree men with just that one unit of Blood Knights. So admitted defeat, and well played to my opponent. It was quite the grind out battle there. Definitely one of the grindier games I've had in a while, but I do think that the Wood Elves can kind of out Death Star the vampire counts to a degree, because the tree units have so much armor and physical resistance, and the vampire counts don't have any effective fire damage. Even if you do, I mean, obviously the Firebark Elders counter that quite nicely. So it's just tough. Blood Knights are definitely the best answer, and you can see they almost worked out here. It did very well across the board. 153 kills, especially on this unit. The one unit that got dragged down by the Ward Answers was not the best, but 115 kills at the end of the day by them. Pretty good stuff. 138, and most Vampire Counts armies you see will be nice and wide, but this guy, just taking advantage of the Karstein Lord's summoning ability, is flooding the field with zombie bodies, and also that Vargolf summon as well is quite powerful. Unfortunately, just wasn't quite enough at the end of the day. 145 kills on the tree men, just absolutely wrecking through infantry. Both of the Treekin units getting quite a few kills as well. 40 kills XP Chevron on the sisters. They did some good damage against the Blood Knights, and just generally having the utility of them combined with this Death Star is very, very effective, I would say. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I know quite a few of you like these tree style builds, so let me know your thoughts. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.